How great is that? Did anybody ever feel that when you were younger you were going to get to come onto a stage to 300 women cheering you? Please bury me now. So, although I moved from Germany, I'm actually English. If you have difficulty in understanding me, Cliff's going to do a special DVD with subtitles so you can follow what we're talking about. One of the things about these two passions were being really keen on mathematics and sport. That made me very smart and very competitive. And those are not bad qualities to actually take forward in life. And this allowed me to go to university, and I graduated with a bachelor's in mathematics, which I'm very good with numbers, analysing, problem solving, and my competitive spirit coupled with that allowed me to move and work for a lot of Fortune 100 companies. And when I first started working for them, my career path was a little bit too slow. You had to do a job for 3 years and you get promoted, and then another 2 years. I'm not doing that. That's too slow for me. So I thought, okay, how can I accelerate my progress? So I looked around for the toughest projects that nobody else wanted to do, and I dived in and I thought I'm going to make a name for myself as I get stuff done, even the stuff that other people don't want to do. And I was very successful at that, and it led me to getting promotions. And I ran projects, and I've run projects from everything from $50,000 to $100 million global programs. I've run $200 million departments. I was a senior vice president for one of the top companies in Germany. And that competitiveness and smarts that I had allowed me to become really good at improving operational performance and getting costs driven down. And if you can do it faster, better, cheaper, you are going to be in demand and successful. And as I put on here, when you wanted the job doing well, I was the go-to guy. And if projects were in trouble, I was the only guy. A number of times I got called. More often than not, I didn't get to start the project. I was called in half the time to hit the iceberg, and then was asked, please come and help us. And I had a 100% success rate in doing that, and that put me in demand, and I got really well paid. But even though I was good at that, what I was even better at was people wanted to work for me. I was able to inspire people. I had a very simple leadership style, and I did this for around 25, 30 years, and I finally realised that actually I wanted to do something else. I wanted to play a bigger game, because a lot of people who are leading large projects really are assholes. Nobody ever wants to work for them again. They get the job done, but nobody wants to work for them again. And I have people queuing up to work with me. I even have people coming to do a marathon with me in Orlando, and if you ask them, I don't know why I'm doing this. But I'm really good at inspiring people and motivating people. So I decided what I wanted to do was to coach and teach people on leadership, and I thought, okay, I'll start by writing on leadership, and I created a blog. And within 3 months, that blog, even though I'm not a writer and I don't have a background really in leadership other than for execution, my blog was one of the top 50 blogs recognised. And for 2013, I quickly built up on Facebook and social media following 400,000 people. People liked what I did. I wrote a book called Leadership. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're attending my mental lunch, you'll get a free copy of that. And then I wrote another book called Fast, and that's the book that I'm going to be launching on October. But if you look at this, I attended Emerge last year, and I had all this following, but people didn't really know who I was. They didn't know what I was offering, and I didn't really know who my customers were, because a lot of the people who were following me were in the 18 to 30-year-old. So it was young people who wanted to move into leadership positions. Yet my background was in corporate. So am I going for the young people? Am I going for corporate? Two completely different markets, two completely different strategies. So I decided that to do something. So I sat down and discussed it with my beautiful wife who's filming this somewhere, and we decided, should we move to Florida or not? I was in Germany, we needed to move, so we made a long list of the pros and cons. And 30 seconds later I signed it for MRT. We went home, we packed our furniture, put the house on the market, and we moved here. So the first thing I had to do was get my marking sorted, and it was a difficult process, and Kelly actually didn't just give me one diamond there, she gave me two, which I called round one and round two. Kelly said to me, we can't see you. You know, you're in magazine as a top 100 leader, yet your branding doesn't show that. And she asked me, what's your favourite colour for your branding? And I said, green. And she said, no, red. Red, red, red. I said, how about blue? She went, red. So we thought about that, and it was a technical knockout end of round two. And Sabrina and Kelly and Si did a fantastic job of creating the brand, and I went from being behind the scenes, right, with this huge following, to being up front, red, direct, owning it. It was all about self-worth. You're in magazines, I didn't know what magazine was. And I needed to own it. But the next thing I needed to do was to figure out what it was I was going to offer. And I talked to Kelly about my fast approach, and the first time I didn't do a really good job of explaining it, and then the second time I said, look, I know you think we should be doing inspiring leadership, and I'm down with that, but you know, fast really, it's a recipe for success. It's about focus, accountability, service, and transparency. With focus, you need to know what you're doing. You need to be crystal clear on what your goals are. If you're not crystal clear, you can't write it down. If you can't write it down, you're missing out on the research that says you're 42% more likely to succeed if you can write your goal down. If you can't write it down, you can't share it. And the research shows that if you share your goals, you are 70% more likely to achieve it. So you need to get the focus right. Accountability is about the who, simplicity, keep it simple, and then transparency is about what's, you know, branding is important. You need to get your brand right. You need to live it, you need to be it, and you do that with the magic will happen. Thank you.